They will ask me, Mr. Uju Onwuzulike, you teach transforming marriages. Do you think married couples can stay without offending one another? What do you think the answer is? The answer is simple. It's not possible for couples to stay without offending one another. They will always offend one another. And why do you think that is possible? Why do you think that is so? It is so because we are human beings. And because we are human beings, we are not perfect beings. And because we are not perfect beings, the possibility of offending your spouse will always be there. Hello everyone and welcome back to Transforming Marriages with Uju Onwuzulike. As usual, I am thrilled to be your host today. And today I have a question to ask you. Do you think in marriages it's possible to stay without offending your spouse? I've been asked that several times. They will ask me, Mr. Uju Onwuzulike, you teach transforming marriages. Do you think married couples can stay without offending one another? What do you think the answer is? The answer is simple. It's not possible for couples to stay without offending one another. They will always offend one another. And why do you think that is possible? Why do you think that is so? It is so because we are human beings. And because we are human beings, we are not perfect beings. And because we are not perfect beings, the possibility of offending your spouse will always be there. Sometimes you do things that you wouldn't want to do, and when you do those things, you will feel bad. And you begin to ask yourself, why did I even do this thing? And sometimes it's not because you want to do those things, but you still do them because you are a human being. You are not a perfect being. And like I tell people, the problem is not about offending your spouse. That is not where the problem is. And for married couples, you agree with me that the big problem, the big issue you have with your spouse, it's not just because they offended you. I will give you an example. Let's say as a husband, you yell at your wife, or you spoke in a manner that you're not supposed to. And your wife comes to you to complain to you, to say to you, I do not like the way you yelled at me. Now, at that point that your wife has complained to you what you did wrong, the problem is not that you yelled at her. That is not the problem. Do you know what is the big problem? The big problem is this. When your wife complained to you that she didn't like the way you yelled at her, instead of acknowledging what she has said, instead of accepting what she has said, you will never accept it. You want to do three things. And what are those three things men usually do? Number one, you want to explain the situation to her. And number two, you want to justify your actions. And number three, you want to defend yourself. So by doing these three things to her, you end up getting her angry. By doing these three things, you end up making her to be very unhappy. And when she's unhappy, what do you think will happen? She's likely going to express herself. And by expressing herself, you end up having a very debated argument. And this argument would have been avoided if you had simply owned up to your mistake. So this is one of the reasons why couples usually have problems. So the problem or the issue is not that you offended your wife or you offended your husband. The problem is that having offended your husband, you did not accept the fact that you did something wrong. You want to defend your action. You want to justify yourself. That is a wrong thing to do. So, what am I advising you to do in this video? There is something that a lot of couples do not make use of in marriages. I would say it's highly underutilized. And when they begin to use it, they would notice that this thing has the ability and the capacity to transform their marriages. It has the ability to resolve many issues and conflicts that is being faced in marriages today. So I want to encourage you to start using that thing. And what is it? It's a simple phrase. It's very simplistic in nature, but it has the capacity to work wonders in your marriage. And that is the ability to say, I am sorry. So, as a husband, I want you to get used to this phrase in your marriage. I want you to get used to saying, I am sorry to your wife. It doesn't remove anything from you. And as a wife also, I want you to get comfortable saying to your husband, I am sorry. This phrase is not an ordinary phrase, it's transformative in nature. And when you begin to use this phrase to your spouse, to say to them, I am sorry, my wife, I am sorry, my husband, I am really sorry, I won't do this again. No matter how angry your spouse is, when you say to them, when you use this phrase, I am sorry, it will quell the anger. God did not make a mistake when he said in his word in Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1. And what did God say? God said, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but a harsh word will always stir up anger. A harsh word will always stir up commotion. A harsh word will always stir up fight. What does that Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1 mean? Or what is it trying to say? Or what is God trying to achieve? God is trying to let us know that no matter what the problem is, no matter what your spouse has complained about, when you answer them softly, when you answer in a calm and in a soft manner, there's no way you will not meet their anger. But the problem today is that we do otherwise. We always use harsh words. And when we use these harsh words in our marriages, we end up having problems that is quite avoidable. I've also noticed, I am a man or so, I'm a husband. I've also noticed that we men, we find it difficult to say, I am sorry to our wives when we have done something wrong. I'm encouraging you to refrain from doing it. There was a time I used to say that too, especially in the early years of my marriage. I like to prove to my wife that I'm smart. I like to defend myself. I like to prove my point. But I never knew that I was doing something that would get her angry more. I never knew that I was doing something that would set the family on fire. I never knew that I was doing something that would cause commotion to the family. That is a wrong thing to do. And I usually tell people, a lot of times I will say, I am sorry to my wife. It wasn't as if I was wrong. But I said it because I value the relationship I have with my wife. I said it because I want peace to reign. I said it because those things that will cause problems and commotions in our marriages would have been avoided if I simply say, I am sorry. And I want you to start experimenting that today as a husband. When your wife comes to you to make a complaint to you, don't defend yourself. That should be the time to justify your actions. But you are expected to simply say, I am sorry. And when you say, I am sorry to her, like the Bible said in Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1, it will melt her anger. It will turn away the wrath, which would have imploded. Be comfortable using the phrase, I am sorry. I want you to be comfortable using that. And when you begin to use that in your marriage, you will come back to tell me that a lot of issues that you usually have all evaporated just because you have learned to say, I am sorry to your spouse. So in this video, I want to encourage you. I want to inspire you to keep aside your ego, your pride. Keep aside those things that will say to you, oh, don't say I am sorry to your spouse. Keep those things aside. And I also want to say this to husbands. I want to say this to men. Don't ever see it as a sign of weakness to say, I am sorry to your wife. It's not a sign of weakness, but rather it's a sign of strength. It's a proof that you love your wife. It's a proof that you value the relationship. So I'm encouraging you today to begin to use this transformative phrase, I am sorry. And in a situation where you don't want to voice it out, you can take a piece of paper and write on it, I am sorry. Don't just assume that maybe you bought her a gift, that has replaced I am sorry. No, it hasn't replaced I am sorry. Regardless of what you have bought for her in form of a gift, still say to her, I am sorry when you have to. Still say to your husband, I am sorry when you have to. And when you begin to do it, when you begin to use this phrase, you will see that a lot of changes will come to your marriage. And you begin to enjoy your marriage. You begin to have a stronger and a happier marriage that you enjoy. I want you to subscribe to this channel. I want you to be part of this journey so that together we'll build a stronger and a happier marriages. Till I see you next, keep supporting your spouses to be the best version of themselves and not the other way around. Enjoy the journey of your marriage.